Hi, I'm Georgia, I'm gay, I read a lot of gay books, specifically I read a lot of Sapphic books, and today we're going to rank every single Sapphic book that I read in 2024. We're doing like the tier ranking thing on the chart. If you saw this video pop up and you recommended and you were like, oh, Sapphic books, I want to hear about Sapphic books, then subscribe to this channel because that is pretty much all I talk about over here. I talk about books, but like specifically gay books, and I talk about like gay life and my wife a lot. And my cats as well. We're very stereotypical over here. I am just like all the other girls, all the other lesbians. So according to my Goodreads account, I read 32 Sapphic books in 2024, which is quite a good ratio because I read 60 books in total, which means over half of the books I read were Sapphic. I want to try and increase that ratio in 2025. I want it to be like 75-25. That's my goal. Stay tuned for 2025 to see if I was actually able to do that, but without further ado, let's jump into my ranking. Okay, so our tiers here are the same tiers that I used last year. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We have at the top, as in like, that's so good. That is such a good book. It's like a scream of like, oh my god, that's incredible. Then second tier is very cute, V cute. Third tier is just fine, didn't hate it, didn't love it, like it was fine. Fourth tier is meh, just didn't really have any particular feelings towards it at all. And the bottom tier is absolutely not, no thank you, self-explanatory. And we're going to jump straight in with the first book that happens to be on this list, and that is Down the Drain by Julia Fox. Now I hear you, this might be controversial to include in this because there's actually nothing sapphic about this book, but Julia Fox has since come out as a lesbian, icon, queen, love her. And when I was listening to this book this time last year, I literally listened to it in January 2024, I was like, there's something so sapphic about this. There is something so gay about Julia Fox, and that she does not care for men. She is just using them for like her own wants, like to get her own way. And I was like, that is so gay, that is so iconic. And then she came out as a lesbian and I was like, yeah, that's not really a surprise, not to me anyway. And I adored this book. I knew nothing about Julia Fox going into this. I didn't, like, apart from the fact that she was like Kanye West's girlfriend for a little bit, like I had nothing, but everyone was talking about it. I was intrigued. It was on Spotify. I listened to it and I was just obsessed with it. She is such an icon. I don't know if it's too soon in the video to like put something in the top tier category, but I did love this. Like this is probably one of the books I recommend to people the most. Like if somebody asked me for an audiobook, I always recommend this one, so I'm gonna put it there. I'm gonna do it. We're starting off strong. Take Her On by Emily Wright. This is a lesbian football romance. I love a lesbian football romance. If the straights can have their ice hockey, the lesbians can have their football. This is the third one that I've read, and this was probably my least favourite of the three that I've read so far. I'm going to put it in just fine, because it was like the romance between the two main characters whose names completely escape me. I'm not going to be able to remember any names in this video, by the way. The romance was quite good, but I like it to be like more football focused, and I feel like it was like a romance due to the fact they play football rather than like a football romance. Does that make sense? I need more football. I want to be able to like fantasize about Lucy Bronze is what I want. How to Excavate a Heart by Jake Meyer Arlo. I'm going to warn you right now, this is going to be very Sapphic Christmas book heavy, because a couple of months ago I uploaded a video where I recommended Sapphic Christmas books, and to do so I had to read said Christmas books. It was a slog. I got through it. I never want to see another fake dating trope in my life ever again. But How to Excavate a Heart was the best of a bad bunch. Like, it was really good. It was really, really cute. It actually wasn't really that Christmassy. It's going to go and be cute. Because the main character is Jewish and she moves to Washington DC for the sort of winter holiday because she's got an internship there. She's like this super smart ichthypaleologist, if I remember correctly. And whilst in Washington, she meets another Jewish girl and they just spend like the holiday season together, and there's a lot of like reflections on Christmas and like how other people celebrate it. It was really cute. She Gets the Girl by Alison Derrick and Rachel Lippincott. I am not gonna lie to you, I have no memories of reading this book. Like, I know I read it And people rave about this book all the time. I see it recommended all the time. And I can't remember it. I can't remember the plot of it. I could look it up, I could tell you, but I feel like that tells you all you need to know. So that is painfully going in meh. Make You Mine This Christmas by Lizzie Huxley Jones. This is a Christmas romance, another fake dating trope. And out of all of the Christmas books I read, this wasn't one of the worst ones, but also it wasn't one of the best. There was this weird thing with fake dating, you've got to be really, really careful that the main character doesn't have more chemistry with the person they're fake dating than the person they actually want to be with. And this book very much fell into this trap. But it was cute. It was good representation. It was queer, disabled it was really cute. It was fine. It was whatever. Ruby Fruit Jungle by Rita Mae Brown. We all know where this is going to go. This is going top tier. I adored this book. This is a lesbian classic. It is written in the 70s. It is very representative of the time in which it was written, so bear that in mind going in. But I was obsessed with it. The main character in this is one of my favourites ever. I just adored it. Like, really, really adored it. Little Blue Encyclopedia for Vivian by Hazel Jane Plant. This is a very strangely written book. It is written in the format of an encyclopedia. Vivian has lost the love of her life. The love of her life has basically like died, and our main character, whose name you do find out at the end of the book, but I'm not going to say because it's a bit of a spoiler, the main character kind of doesn't know how to our main character doesn't know how to sort of like expend that grief that they've got, so they make an encyclopedia about Vivian's favourite TV show, Little Blue. Interesting premise, I just didn't like it. It was so absurdist, so strange. If you like absurdist kind of books, you'll probably really like this, but it just was not for me. It's going in meh, I think. Absolutely not. No, it was like, it had its merits. It was fine, but meh. Those Who Wait by Hayley Cass. This is a 600-page Sapphic romance that could have gone on for another 600 pages and it still would have been too short. Like, I love this so much. If you're looking for a sort of like classic lesbian romance, the spice is amazing. Like, this is the one for you. I did really love this book, but I am going to put it in VQ because I just feel like the books I'm putting in R, I just feel like it doesn't quite compare. But I adored this book, like adored it. The Colour Purple by Alice Walker. I'm going to be so controversial here, and I'm going to put it in just fine. It's not that I didn't enjoy the book. No, enjoy. I didn't even enjoy it because enjoy is a very strong word. Like, this book, it invokes a lot of emotions. It makes you feel things really, really heavily. I just found it really difficult to get through. Like, it's not an easy read, and I found myself putting it down and then not picking it up for another week and then putting it down again. And yeah, I just really struggled to get through it. I can see why it's a classic. I can see why people love it so much and why it's so revered. It just was a slog. It was hard to get through. Next up, we have Sunburn. We all know where Sunburn's going to go because I have not shut up about this book ever since I read it. This is going in top tier. I could scream about this from the rooftops. This is about a teenage girl living in a very rural town village in Ireland. She's dealing with a lot of like repressed sexuality. Her family are very religious. She is so determined like not to let her family down. And she falls in love with her best friend, and her best friend has a very different sort of like outlook on family and on life. And yeah, this book is basically Good Luck Babe by Chapel Roan in book form. If that doesn't sell it to you, I don't know what will. Count Your Lucky Stars by Alexandria Bellfleur. Yet again, another very well done lesbian rom-com. Alexandria Bellfleur is like the GOAT when it comes to lesbian rom-coms. She is so good at what she does. VQ. Just be cute. It wasn't the best romance you're ever going to read, but it fills a hole. I'm going to leave that there. The Christmas Swap by Talia Samuels, your very bog standard Hallmark lesbian Christmas book. It wasn't the best. It's just going to go meh. Event of Love, should I just zoom through all the Christmas ones now? I'm going to do all the Christmas ones in like one foul swoop. Let's do this. In the Event of Love by Courtney Kay, an event planner ends up in a PR nightmare, escapes back to her hometown, and reconnects with her teenage love. Fine. It was fine. It was one of the better ones I read. This Christmas by Georgia Beers. Terrible, terrible. Hated it. Absolute slog. No, thank you. Not interested. Do not read this book. Sorry to my fellow Georgia. I want to support you. I really do. This book was not good. The Christmas Catch by Claire Lydon. This could either go in meh or absolutely not, no thank you. I'm going to put it in meh because it was fine. Loads of people really loved this. Like, all the reviews of this on Goodreads, like, solid 5 stars. I just couldn't get on board with it at any point. It's basically 2 women live in Glasgow trying to get down to, like, Somerset or Devon or Cornwall, like, somewhere around the area. Can't remember the details. And every single part of their journey just goes wrong. So you're always just waiting for the next thing to go wrong. It was a bit boring. Next up, we have A Holly Jolly Christmas by Emily Wright. This is written by the same author who did the football romance I mentioned earlier on in the video. This was the best of a bad bunch. This was a pretty solid Christmas romance. It focuses very heavily on how difficult the Christmas season can be for some people. It talks about grief, it talks about loss. I just thought it was really beautifully done. It did make me cry. It's going to go in V Cute. And finally, the last Christmas one is Make the Season Bright by Ashley Herring-Blake. You know, I'm ride or die for Ashley Herring-Blake. I absolutely adore her writing. I adore her characters. Like, she just can like fill out a character so well. She can just make you feel like you were there in the book. And Make the Season Bright, I'm not going to say by any means it was a bad book, but it just wasn't my favourite one of hers. It felt a bit convoluted in some points. A lot of the dispute between the characters could have been very easily solved if they just spoke about things. And I understand that there's got to be some sort of like miscommunication in books. Otherwise there's not going to be a plot, especially in romances. But it's just been better done, you know? So I'm going to put this in just fine. Big Swiss by Jen Began. I have so many thoughts on this book and I don't really know how to put them into words. I think I enjoyed it, but also at the same time, I really didn't enjoy it. This is just one of the strangest books I've ever read in my entire life. Our main character is a transcriber for a therapist, and in doing so, she gets to hear all of these people's like deepest, darkest, juiciest secrets. And one of the clients of this therapist is a woman that the main character, whose name escapes me, Greta, maybe? No, not Greta. I don't know. She names her Big Swiss, and then she goes on to meet Big Swiss in person, and this is their relationship. It is strange, it's absurdist. Like I said earlier on, I do really struggle with absurdist kind of books. I just like anything that makes me feel weird. I hate like Uncanny Valley stuff. No thank you. But I kind of did enjoy it. We're going to put it in just fine, but it could have erred into VQ. It could. Honey and Issues Guide to Fake Dating. This is a YA Sapphic romance. I just didn't like the characters in this. I found them really annoying, and it is possible to write teenage characters that are not annoying. I've read YAs. I love YAs. There's just something about these 2 characters in particular that just really got to me. It was a cute premise. I couldn't. It's going in meh. Neon Roses is a book that had so much promise, and I was so excited to read this. I waited for ages for the paperback to come out because I'm part of the hardback hate club, and I just didn't like it all that much. It was fine. The first half of the book had a lot of promise, and then it kind of lost its way a little bit. So the first half of the book is about Lesbian and Gays Support the Miners, which was this movement here in Britain where lesbians and gays from London showed a lot of support, raised a lot of money for the miners on strike in Wales, and in doing so created this like really beautiful relationship that still kind of stands to this day. And our main character is the daughter of one of the miners who sort of forms a bit of a crush, a bit of a bond with one of the lesbians when she comes from London. And that part of the book is so interesting, but then when the strike ends, I just feel like the book lost a little bit of purpose. It lost direction. It didn't really know what it was doing. Yeah, it lost it, but it was interesting. It was fine. Rosewater by Liv Little. I actually really enjoyed this one. This is going to go into V Cute. This is about a 28-year-old woman living in London whose entire life is kind of falling apart around her, but also she's not making that much effort to like try and fix her life as it's falling apart. It's very much like a self-reflection journey. Our main character, like I said, I cannot remember any main characters' names from any of these books, so that's what we're going with. She is very like self-deprecating and sort of like self-hating, but like she hates her life but won't do anything to change it. And it was just quite relatable, I think. Like, it was very real. Like, it was frustrating, but it felt real. People are frustrating. We Can Be Heroes, a survivor story by Paul Burston. This is non-fiction. Actually, this shouldn't even be in here. This shouldn't be in here because it's about a man. It's not a sapphic romance. Well, we're going to rank it anyway because apparently I clicked on the thing. Heroes by Paul Burston is a non-fiction about the life of Paul Burston. He grew up in a small town in Wales as a queer boy and never really fitted in. Then he moved to London to try and basically find queer community, and he found it. And then they all started to die from AIDS. He was very active in London during the AIDS crisis. He's remained an activist ever since. It was incredible. I'm going to put it in V cute, even though it is not technically a sapphic romance. I don't know why I clicked on that. Girls Can Kiss Now by Jill Gutowitz. This is a collection of essays about millennial pop culture and its relation to queerness. It's about Jill Gutowitz's own queerness, about the queerness of everyone, about sapphic teenage girls, young adult girls everywhere. I found this so relatable. I feel like me and Jill Gutowitz must be around the same age because there was just so many references and moments in this. I was like, yes, I know that. I was there. I lived that. And I am also gay because of that. I adored it so much. It is going in. Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. I'm not going to talk about this book again because I know you're all bored to death of hearing me talk about it, but we know this is one of my favourite books of the year, so this is going in as well. I wish I'd named that something easier to actually narrate, to be honest. Pizza Girl by Jean Kyung Fraser. This is going to go in meh. It could be a high meh, but it is a meh nonetheless. This is a story about a teenage girl who is pregnant. Her boyfriend and her mum are both like super excited about this pregnancy, and she is not really being a very active participant in her own life. Like, she's kind of just like letting things happen to herself. She works at a pizza shop as a pizza delivery driver, and then one day she delivers a pizza to this middle-aged woman and just becomes immediately obsessed with her and tries to like become a part of her life. And from there, so many weird things happen, but the book felt too short. It was like an odd length. I felt like it either needed to be like much shorter and be like an actual short story, or it should have been a real chunky book and they should have really been able to like dive into the thoughts and feelings and the processes that were happening here, because it was truly insane. But yeah, I thought the length of it was just a bit off. It's very short. Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. This is going to go into V cute, but it is not, I warn you, a V cute book. This is a very heavy book. This is a retelling of a famous serial killer's crimes from the point of view of the victims. Like, so often serial killers are the only people focused on in these crimes, whereas really it should be the victims whose stories are being told. And so Jessica Knoll takes the fictionalised story of the victims of this very famous real life serial killer and she tells it. And this book is surprisingly queer. I was not expecting it. I did not think, when I went into it, I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. Did not know it was gay. Turns out it was. That is a pro, but also the book in itself, it's just really well done, like really well told. I think it dragged on a little bit in some parts, but overall, I would recommend it. In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. I'm about to do something crazy, and please don't be mad at me, but I'm going to put this in meh. I'm sorry, I didn't get it. I didn't get the hype that everyone talks about. It could have been an audiobook problem, because I did listen to the audiobook rather than read the actual physical book, but I just found it was very heavy-handed with the metaphors, and there's just so many metaphors that happen in this book, and you spend half of it, especially when you listen to the audiobook, trying to like sort of figure out what the hell Carmen Maria Machado is like trying to tell you through these metaphors, and then you've missed half a chapter because you're still thinking about that last thing. But I've got to rate it as I consumed it, and I did listen to the audiobook, so That Greeneyed Girl by Julie Owen Moylan. Again, another book that I have not shut up about. This is going in my top tier. I adored this book. This is New York, gay, 1950s, 1970s. There's sort of like dual timelines here. So you've got Dovey and Gillian living in an apartment in the 1950s. They are a queer couple, only they eventually get found out and somebody starts to blackmail them. And then 20 years later, we move to the same apartment, but now a girl called Ava's living there. And Ava receives a parcel addressed to one of the women and kind of embarks on a mission to find out where this woman is now to reunite her with this parcel. And in doing so, you learn about what happened in those 20 years. It's just a really well written book. I really enjoyed it. I loved how the storyline kind of tied together. There were some twists in there that made me gasp out loud. Loved it. Chlorine by Jade Song. This is going to go into V Cute. I really like this book. I didn't think I would do. This is a story of a teenage girl called Ren who is a swimmer. She's always been a swimmer. She's always been obsessed with mermaids. Only now she seems to be turning into a mermaid herself. And she becomes very sort of unattached from human life because she is so sure that she has got greater powers, greater goals in this life, and that is to become a mermaid. And it's never really made entirely clear whether Ren actually is becoming a mermaid or if she's having some sort of mental break, but the journey is incredible. I Want You Like a Best Friend by Emma R. Alban. This is going to go into Mare. I was so excited for a YA teenage Regency period Sapphic novel. Like, I was so excited for that. It just didn't deliver what I wanted it to deliver. I find there always is like this inherent flaw in queer romances in this time period because there are so few things you can do to actually give the characters a happy ending. And of course in romance you're always going to have a happy ending. The only book from that era I've ever read that I actually feel like did it well, not book from that era, book written about that era, is A Gentleman's Guide to, what's it called? A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. That did it really well. I Want You Like a Best Friend just didn't really do it. Late Bloomer by Maisie Eddings. I adore the cover of this book, by the way. I think this cover is gorgeous. This is going to go into Just Fine because I liked it. I read it. I thought it was cute. The main characters in this are called Opal and Pepper, which is just adorable. That is adorable. But would I recommend it over some of the other books in this list? Probably not. Is it kind of forgettable? Yeah. But it was cute. Finally, we are on the very last book. This is A Scatter of Light by Melinda Lowe, and this is going to go into V Cute. This is a teenage girl who's got in trouble with her parents on the east coast of America. They send her to live with her grandma on the west coast, and she discovers a lot about herself while she's there, including the fact that she is gay. She likes girls. Very, very cute book. But there you go. That is my tier list of all the queer books, all the Sapphic books I read in 2024, plus one random gay book as well. I hope you enjoyed that. Based on the Sapphic books that I loved the most in 2024, so Sunburn, Our Wives Under the Sea, That Greeneyed Girl, please leave me recommendations down below for what other queer books you think I might enjoy. I'm always open to recommendations. I actually think I might do a video where I read your guys' recommendations. Maybe I'll use the comments on this video to do that. So if you want to be a part of that, you got to comment and let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and if you're not subscribed, please make sure you subscribe because I'm trying to grow this channel. I want to be able to read more books, I want to be able to talk about more books, but to do that I need you to subscribe and support and help me get there, you guys. Yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.